Hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. Cereal farmers are now instructed to deliver their harvest to Algeria's National Cereal Board, a measure taken by the government to ensure the country's food security and face up to the disruption in the world market. The under-23 Algerian football team selection is qualified for the semi-finals of the tournament of the Islamic Solidarity Games, and Algeria's medal harvest is now of 17, including 4 gold medals. The International Youth Day is celebrated in Canal province with several activities, including a training session for the benefit of young people. Good evening, and those were today's top stories. First, in our news, and due to the disruption in the world market, the 2022 Supplementary Finance Law requires cereal producers who benefit from the state support to deliver their entire harvest to the Algerian National Cereals Board to ensure the availability of these raw materials. More details with Manal Amari.
Algeria aims for the development of grain cultivation, a strategic agricultural sector with up-and-coming economic perspectives, with a record production expected for the current year, since in 2021 agricultural revenues exceeded $25 billion. The Algerian National Cereals Board adopted the sector's public policy in the field, geared towards food security and imports reduction. One of the Algerian National Cereal Board's missions is regulating the national market. An abundant production would enable us to ensure sufficient quantities of wheat and to reduce imports. Under the provisions of the 2022 Supplementary Finance Law, cereal producers who benefit from state support are required to deliver their entire wheat and barley harvests to the Algerian National Cereals Board to ensure the availability of these raw materials. Furthermore, the 2022 Supplementary Finance Law plans an increase in cereals purchasing prices to 6,000 dinars for a quintal of durum wheat, 5,000 dinars for a quintal of soft wheat, and 3,500 dinars for a quintal of barley. The cereals price increase helps to cover farmers' costs, namely fertilizers. These measures are an incentive that also allows the rise of the agricultural yields and collection rates. The extension of agricultural areas devoted to cereal cultivation, especially in the southern areas of the country, and the availability of fertilizers contributed to the growth of natural production, which also strengthened storage capacities throughout 600 wheat silos. Thanks to the particular consideration and the President of the Republic's encouragement to boost grain cultivation in highlands and the south, we are motivated to develop this field and dedicate large areas for grain cultivation. The latest decisions taken by Algeria stem from the geopolitical situation throughout the world and the obligation for the availability of raw materials to reduce imports and ensure food security.
Moving on to Konya, Turkey, where the under-23 Algerian football team selection qualified on Friday for the semi-finals of the tournament of the Islamic Solidarity Games by drawing against Turkey 1-1. Algeria will play against Saudi Arabia, the leader of Group B, whereas Turkey will play against Azerbaijan. The third-place game and the final match game will be played on Tuesday, August 16th. It is worth recalling that Algeria has so far harvested a total of 4 gold and 5 silver and 8 bronze medals since the beginning of the Islamic Solidarity Games. On the occasion of the International Youth Day, celebrated on August 12th of each year, several activities are organized all over the country. In Canal province, a training session and several activities were organized for the benefit of the young people participating in the local development of the region. Report by Sofian Ajrud, commentary by Rania Al-Bahri.
These young project initiators follow training sessions around entrepreneurship and startups. In Khanchla province, more precisely in Babar municipality, the Youth Initiative League organized these trainings on the occasion of International Youth Day.
We were able to acquire a lot of knowledge thanks to this session, especially with regard to entrepreneurship. This experience is successful. I did not really know what entrepreneurship was. Now I got a lot of ideas. This is an association with a socio-cultural goal, which has a mission to safeguard and promote the cultural heritage of the region, to support young people and contribute to local development.
Selim is one of those young people who actively participate in the development of the region. He founded a football club to train young children of Ain Tawila.
I came here to learn how to play football and become a great player in the future. This is a beautiful academy. We need some support. Our goal is to highlight the young people of Khanchla province who have contributed to the development of the region on a private basis or within the framework of an association. It was also an opportunity for these young people to talk about their experience and inspire the audience.
At the end of this day, several young entrepreneurs were honored for their participation in the process of development of Khanchla province, an opportunity that aims to encourage the rising generations and reveal their potentialities.
In a different context, Algeria strongly condemns the terrorist attacks perpetrated against units of the Malian armed forces in Tissit in the Gao region. Following these attacks, which resulted in the death and injury of many Malian soldiers, Algeria presents its condolences to the families of the victims, as well as its wishes for a speedy recovery for those injured. Algeria wishes to reassure the Malian people and government of its solidarity and firm support in its fight against terrorism. It also reiterates its call for the effective action at the regional and international levels in order to eliminate this scourge, the effect of which is negatively impacting the security and development of the continent. And in the context of the decisions taken by the Extraordinary Summit of the African Union in Malabo, a collective African response and an increase of the national community support for Mali is more important than ever at a time when terrorism acts are increasing. And units of the Sahrawi Liberation Army carried out new attacks against the Moroccan occupying forces along the Wall of Shame in Al Mahbas sector, according to the Sahrawi press services. And following the attacks, the Moroccan occupiers suffered considerable human and material casualties. In other news, the New York Bar Association called on the U.S. President Joe Biden to support the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination and independence in accordance with the relevant international charts and the decisions of the UN General Assembly, including Resolution 1415. The New York Bar Association called on Joe Biden to reconsider the decision of the former President Donald Trump regarding the recognition of the alleged Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara, emphasizing the imperative of exploiting the diplomatic channels to allow the Sahrawi people to exercise their right to self-determination, as well as the establishment of an independent state and to dispose of its natural resources in line with the international legality. The Bar Association also urged President Biden to support the U.S. ambassador to the UN Security Council to expand the UN mission for the organization of a referendum in Western Sahara, MINURSO, to the monitoring of human rights and documenting the violations of the Moroccan constitution in the occupied Sahrawi territories. In other news, a young Palestinian man fell as a martyr in the south of Gaza after suffering from serious injuries caused by the latest attacks of the Zionist occupier. And in Nablus, demonstrations were organized in the memory of the dozens of the victims who lost their lives, 17 of which were children. Story by Najah Tiyar.
A Palestinian young man succumbed to his wounds after the latest bombardments on Gaza Strip. The barbaric attack killed 50 people and caused innumerable material damage. Faced with this disastrous situation, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights said the number of Palestinian children killed was alarming. In the duration of 3 days, the raids claimed the lives of 17 children, raising the number of the children killed in Palestine up to 19 in this week only, where 151 others are injured. In tribute to the martyrs who fell during these latest aggressions, several demonstrations of solidarity were organized across the occupied Palestinian territories. Thousands of Palestinians came out, in particular in the streets of Nablus in the occupied West Bank, reaffirming their determination to continue the resistance.
And we wrap up our today's news with a special weather bulletin. Scorching temperatures of up to 46 degrees will affect several provinces of the west and the center of the country on Saturday and Sunday, according to a special report issued by the National Weather Services Office. The provinces in question are Ain Timushint, Oran, Mosaganem, Tipaza, Boumrdas, and Algiers. Tlemcen, Sidi Bel Abbas, Mascara, Ghelizan, Shluf, and Ain Difla will also be affected by this heat wave, where the temperature would be around 44 and 46 degrees. So it is highly important to be careful, stay hydrated, and avoid sun exposure, especially between 2 and 4 p.m. And with this, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in.